Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the victims and their families for the Chardon High School shooting that occurred today. So if we take a moment of silence for them. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Verdelware.
Here.
Coyne.
Here.
Colasar.
Here.
Lamb.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Reading of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of the February 13, 2012 second meeting.
Is there any discussion on the reading of the minutes? Will the clerk please call the roll on the reading of the minutes?
Simpson.
Yes.
Verdelware.
Yes.
Coyne.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Reports of standing committees. We have the Finance Committee, which met prior to this meeting. We had another full agenda. It seems like we're on a roll. The next Finance meeting will be the next prior to the next council meeting at 5:30. The Health, Safety, and Sanitation Committee, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not to report at this time.
Public Properties Committee, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
Special Legislation Committee, Mrs. Burdell-Ware.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
Streets and Sidewalks Committee, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Streets and Sidewalks Committee had a meeting this past week on the 23rd. There was one item on the agenda which has actually been tabled into the budget process, and we'll address it then.
Thank you. Waters and Utilities Committee, Mr. Colzar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Water and Utilities met last Thursday, February 23rd, to discuss the Utility Rate Review Commission's recommendation on water rates. We did pass it out of that committee to Finance, and we'll be discussing that further, I believe, on the March 12th Finance agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We have requests for council action. We have the Finance Committee. We have item 1237, the municipal tax refund. Number 1238, the 2002 debt issue refinancing. 1239, the budget amendments. 1240, Community Improvement Corporation CIC from the Economic Development Department. 1241, the purchase agreement for 406 South Broadway Street. 1242, the entertainment sponsor for Medina County Senior Day. And 1243, the safety zone / railroad crossing gates at Guilford Boulevard. Reports from municipal officers. Mr. Hanwell, the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Chardon school shooting today, I want to share with council and the public that as a result or immediately thereafter of that shooting, the police chiefs from Medina Township, Montville Township, and the city got together to institute our plan to direct officers and marked cars and uniform to each school in the district. This is done to thwart any copycat offenses, as well as to ensure a calm and safe learning environment for the students, the staff, and the parents. We'll continue to maintain extra vigilance in the next few days. Residents are requested to report any suspicious activity or persons to the police department of the jurisdiction so that we can promptly address those. On Saturday, April 21st, 2012, we're going to have the big day of serving. The local church leaders of Medina are hosting this. This day is inviting volunteers from various locations in the country to take part here in community service activities, including park cleanups, minor home repairs, exterior painting, yard work, etc., for the elderly, disabled, or those unable to do so. Medina was chosen as one of the locations for this spring event. If interested in having work performed, you may contact Dawn Conwell at my office, 722-9020, or her email is donconwell@medinaoh.org. Or if interested in serving as a volunteer, you can go to the website www.bigdayofserving.com, and it lists the various locations across the country. And we would hope that you'd pick Medina, stay close to home. The National Day of Prayer events are again the first Thursday in May. So this year it's May 3rd. There'll be a prayer breakfast from 7 to 8:30 at Williams on the Lake. The guest speaker will be Medina County Commissioner Adam Frederick. The noon prayer service on the square, and the evening prayer service will be at the new Heartland Community Church, which is 3400 Weymouth Road, from 7 p.m. to about 8:30 p.m. There'll be more details to follow as we continue to plan for that. And last but certainly not least, I'd ask President of Root Candles, Brad Root, to join me. I have for Mr. Root a proclamation from the City of Medina that reads, whereas AI Root Company was selected as a featured business for the month of December 2011 as part of the Secretary of State's Ohio Business Profile Program, and whereas this program highlights Ohio businesses that create interesting products, have outstanding service, contribute to the local community, and employ Ohioans in the process. And whereas the AI Root Company continues to support not only the Medina community but the state of Ohio as well through the launch of a new product line called American Experience. This product is made with Ohio materials by Ohio craftsmen. And whereas the AI Root Company has been part of the Medina community since 1869 as an industry-leading, family-owned company, and now, therefore, I, Dennis Hanwell, Mayor of the City of Medina, do hereby recognize the AI Root Company for their outstanding service to our community and for their commitment to excellence. I'd just like to mention that the Root Company created this new American Experience candle, and from the glass jars to the wicks to the wax to the labels, it's all made by companies in Ohio. And it's something that Mr. Root and his group put together, and we'd like to commend you for that, sir. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Well, the AI Root Company has been a proud part of the community, and we are just very pleased in the relationship that we have with the community and the support that we get from this community. So it's been a great relationship for many, many years, and we hope that continues on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and congratulations. Fifth generation running AI Root Company.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Root, for all your efforts in the city and the longevity of your family operating the business in the city. We congratulate you. Mr. Durham, the Finance Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are several items on the agenda that I'll address when we get there. We, of course, at the previous Finance Committee meeting discussed the possibility of refinancing some debt. We're optimistic that we can realize some significant savings there due to interest rates today and the credit rating upgrade that we got a few years ago. And finally, I have my usual reminder that city residents are required to pay city income tax, required to file with CCA. They handle our collections for us. If you need assistance with that, we have through 4 times set up for that. One is Saturday, March 3rd. That's from 9 to 4. Tuesday, March 13th from 9 to 4. Wednesday, April 4th from 1 to 8. And Saturday, April 14th from 9 to 4. Those are all at the Rec Center. I want to thank the Rec Center for hosting that for us. And then we also have the forms here at City Hall if you need those, or you can print them from the CCA website. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a report. My understanding is that this is Andrea Burdell Ware's last meeting, and I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure, and we'll miss you not being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Rice, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no real formal report, but I also wanted to mention Brad Root is a member of our Economic Development Committee representing industry, and just like to mention my sincere thanks for all your participation and commitment to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hannon, the Planning and Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. Just wanted to mention for council and the public, we did have a joint session of City Council and Planning Commission on February 21st with much of that discussion focusing on the zoning code update. We will continue to work on that 2012 zoning code update at our March 8th boards and commissions meetings, in hopes that a formal draft is submitted to council this April. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Painter, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, the Recreation Center Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next scheduled advisory board meeting is Thursday, March 15th at the Rec Center at 7:30 a.m. In an effort to help ensure the safety and security of the patrons of the MCRC and to help make sure we have a more accurate database of people entering the facility, I would like to remind all non-members of the MCRC that our new ID policy is starting next Monday, March 5th. This policy requires that all patrons using the facility that are not members will have to supply an ID in order to enter the facility. Preferred IDs are driver's licenses, state IDs, and student IDs for guests that are under 16 years to 13 years of age. Day passes will not be sold to persons who fail to present a photo ID, and all guests 12 years and younger must be accompanied by an adult providing proper photo identification. Visitors and spectators will also be required to show a photo ID to enter the facility. All scanned driver's license of the patrons entering the facility will be immediately referenced to the National Sex Offender Registry, and all offenders will be denied access to the facility per our existing policy. We appreciate your patience and understanding during this process, and we apologize for any inconvenience this may cause you. This new policy is what we feel is necessary to help protect you and your children. Lastly, I would like to thank Andrea for her time serving on council also. It was a pleasure working with you, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson, Parks and Recreation Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. The weather cooperated for the most part for the Ice Festival, which was not this past weekend, but the weekend prior. A lot of folks came downtown, and it was very well attended over the 3-day event. It was another great family event that was free to everyone to enjoy the ice sculptures and some shopping. I have one announcement that pertains to middle school and freshman football. Coach Sutherland will be hosting an orientation night for all freshmen and middle school players and their parents. The orientation is open to anyone considering playing football for the 2012 season. The meeting will be held in the middle auditorium at the high school this Thursday, March 1st at 7 p.m. Topics for discussion will include program philosophy, weight training, so come out and meet the new coach. I just mentioned this. We had an opportunity to meet Coach Sutherland, who is new. We invited him to our youth sports oversight committee meeting this past Thursday, and I was impressed with his enthusiasm to build a successful football program by including our younger athletes who can start honing their skills early so that when they step on the field at the varsity level, they'll be prepared to perform. I wish him and Medina success. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, City Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this afternoon, the Board of Control awarded a contract to Bontrager Excavating for the installation of the East Smith Smoke Rise water main. This is a project that the city's been on our planning agenda for quite some time, so we're excited to get started. Wanted to let the residents in the area know that we will be contacting them shortly with a schedule and other information about the project. And also, I wanted to thank Andrea for all her hard work. I think she did a great job for the residents in her ward, and she'll be missed.
Thank you.
Ms. Conwell, the Administrative Office Manager for the Mayor and appointed representative for Nino Piccoli, Service Director.
It's a very lengthy title. I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Notices, communications, petitions. We have one, a confirmation of a mayoral appointment to Stormwater Advisory Committee, Cliff Marcellus, a resident, a term expiring 12/31/2014.
Move to confirm the mayor's appointment.
Second.
Any discussion on the mayor's appointment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the mayor's appointment?
Burdell Ware.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Unfinished business, we have none. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there is a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the front right microphone and state their name and address so that it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of the council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council? Mr. Williams? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Brian Williams. I'm the superintendent of the Buckeye Local Schools. I live at 140 Chestnut Street in Wadsworth, for the record. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to just take a couple minutes to speak with you tonight. Before I get into what I wanted to speak, I'd just like to say on behalf of the Buckeye community and the Buckeye Board of Education, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and community members of Chardon. So wanted to mention that as a school person. We certainly know what they're going through. This evening, I just want to take a moment to talk with you. For those of you that may or may not know, the Buckeye Local Schools have a 1% earned income tax on our March 6th ballot coming up. And what people may not know also is that there is a portion of Medina City where the students attend the Buckeye Local Schools. So I thought it important for me to come today to talk with you for a moment and address the residents of Medina City that attend the Buckeye Local Schools, asking for their continued support. They are certainly, our precincts in Medina City have always been very supportive of Buckeye Local Schools and the school issues that we've had on the ballot in the past. And I would certainly like to thank them, and I also ask them for their continued support as we are approaching, as you know, in Medina City, a critical time in the financial history of our school district, and certainly a time that we are asking for the support of all of our community as we approach this time in our district. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity and allowing me to introduce myself and talk a little bit about our school system. And lastly, I also just like to announce again any members of Medina City, any part of Medina City, and especially those in Buckeye, that we are hosting what we're calling Buckeye Day on March 3rd to celebrate the arts, celebrate many of our musical groups, an elementary art show, and opening our elementary school from 10 to 3 on Saturday, March 3rd, for anybody who would like to come to that, celebrating Buckeye Local Schools and our students. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, of course, most people believe that we're all in the Medina City School District. And, of course, a portion of our city is located in the Buckeye City School District. And I believe even a smaller portion without residents, I think, is in the Cloverleaf City School District on the southwest side of our city. So we appreciate that. And also I'd like to mention that myself and Andrea here, we're both graduates from Buckeye High School. Just wanted to put that in. Thank you for your time, and best of luck to you. Anybody else wish to address council? Yes.
Good evening. I'm Kent Patterson, 9036 Westfield Road, Westfield Center, Ohio. And the reason I'm here tonight is I am running on the Republican ballot for Medina County Sheriff. The main thing that I want to do tonight is give you a quick, number one, I'd like you to be able to put a face to a name. I've met a lot of you. I know a lot of you. I've worked with a lot of you. Very quickly, I am a graduate of Akron University, a graduate of the State Highway Patrol Academy, Southern Police Institute, and numerous training and management schools. I retired from the Highway Patrol in 1997 after commanding the Medina Highway Patrol Post. At that time, we had some of the most significant drug seizures and activity in the state of Ohio. For the last 13 years, I've served as the police chief in Westfield Center. I also serve on the Medina County Educational Service Center. I'm in my second elected term on that board, the Old County School Board. I serve on McDAC. I've been on the Medina County Drug Abuse Commission approximately 12 to 13 years. I serve on the 911 Commission, and also in the Medina County Communications Commission through the Sheriff's Department. I've prepared myself for this office. I feel that I'm ready to take over. I feel that I'm going to come in with new vision, new ideas, a new management style. I'm going to operate the Sheriff's Department as a business. I'm going to look at each and every section that they are responsible for and see what action needs to be taken, because I intend to, and I'm committed to operating the Medina County Sheriff's Department within the budget allotted to me in the budget that I work out with the county commissioners. That will be done. As it relates more directly to the city of Medina, I would look at our dispatch and your dispatch. We're going to work with interagency cooperation in these agencies, and at times I don't always see that, and I really look maybe at our end more than Medina City end. That will not happen with my tenure there. We're going to have a close, redundant operation with all the dispatch centers in Medina County. The other thing I would like to do as Medina County Sheriff as it relates to Medina is working with your police chief, who I know well, and working with your city officials. I think I am known as a consensus-oriented individual, and that's how I'm going to operate the Sheriff's Department. We're going to get things done. We're going to have differences of opinion, but we're going to work these out and be very effective in our relationship with the city of Medina. Again, I thank you for the time. I'll cut this short unless anybody has any questions or anything I can respond to.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else at least wish to address council? Introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2712, a resolution authorizing adoption of the Medina County 2011 All-Hazard and Flood Mitigation Plan update.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, Sandra?
I had an opportunity to look over the flood mitigation plan. It's actually an update. Roughly 5 years ago, we went through this and adopted it. It is a plan that is designed to identify the potential problems or natural disasters, things like that that occur in Medina County, and how best to respond to those things and try and mitigate those either in advance or as they happen. And much of the new document really is the old document with updated figures and things like population numbers, things like that.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Resolution 27-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 28-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary documentation relative to the release of 2 liens on 1010 Oak Street from the fiscal year 04 CHIP grant, a down payment assistance program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested, and I had to add it at this time. I moved to add it.
Second emergency clause.
Any discussion on the emergency clause?
Is the emergency clause absolutely necessary?
Mr. Lamb, I think we'll turn it over to Mr. Hannon. If you can give us a...
Thank you. This property received funding through the city's CHIP program in 2004 as a down payment assistance. Unfortunately, to date, the property is going through a bankruptcy and foreclosure process. There is still $9,000 due as part of the forgivable loan program. Working with the law department and with the attorneys representing the foreclosure, city is proceeding with a request for $500 to satisfy that lien in hopes of getting some money recuperated through the process. And I apologize, I don't have details on the emergency clause, but I know we have a set deadline in which we have to respond to the action to put in our request for that waiver of the lien.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. I believe that timeline is within the 30-day period that allows after the adoption of this ordinance. It's within that time frame, so I think that's exactly why the emergency clause was requested, because there's not enough time to let the ordinance last for the 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields. Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 28-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 29-12 has been pulled from tonight's agenda. So we go to ordinance 30-12, an ordinance supporting the collaboration between the City of Medina and the Medina City Schools for grant studies.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there further discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested, and actually I have some background on this. I know that the deadline for the grant is March 1st. It's a state of Ohio deadline, and that's why the emergency clause has been requested. So I move to add it at this time.
Second with the emergency clause.
Any further discussion on the emergency clause? Mayor?
Not on the emergency clause, the March 1st deadline to get the council resolution in support of the 2 grants. it speaks for itself. There are two separate grants. One is to collaborate further. We've been working with the school's IT program to provide low-level support. What this is doing is studying whether we can move the servers from the city over to the school's data center, which would provide the opportunity for them to pretty much provide all computerized support, with the exception of the police server, which is going to be housed with the transition to Emergitech at the Columbus office of Emergitech. The second grant is for centralized communication dispatch services, which would use the city's dispatch center with the city and townships currently to also take over some of the school bus dispatching, as well as to provide access to the school's video cameras within the school buildings and the school buses to our dispatch center to permit us and the safety forces to service them better.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the emergency clause or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Riddell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
The clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Riddell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Ordinance 30-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 31-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the rehabilitation of the east-west runway at the Medina Municipal Airport.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
it was brought to our attention at the Finance Committee that the $40,000 amount for this grant match is actually changed to a 10% match, which would be $80,000. So I moved to amend it from $40,000 to $80,000 for the match amount.
Second on the amendment.
Any discussion on the amendment? Mr. Huber?
Mr. President, the east-west runway at the Medina Airport is the most heavily used runway at the airport. It is the longest and gets the most traffic. It's pointed in the direction of the prevailing wind, and as a result of the use, it is examined on a regular basis. Officials from the state of Ohio, Columbus, determined that the number of cracks in the runway has gotten to the point that it's excessive. They've given a rating on the number of cracks, indicating that the runway needs to be resurfaced and should be resurfaced as soon as we're able. The FAA gives to the city grant money to address these kinds of infrastructure issues. I was advised this afternoon that the federal Congress just passed a law that was signed by the president that changes the match amount on the grant. Previously, for grants on these kinds of projects, the city would only have to pay 5% toward the project. As a result of this change in the federal law, the cities across the United States are now required to pay 10% toward a project of this nature. That means that our match on this project is probably in the area of $80,000 on an $800,000 project. And that is why we have to change the ordinance, because when we last discussed it, the match was $40,000. Or I should say, out of regard for Mr. Wetzel, who's on the floor, I did not ask for the emergency clause.
Thank you, Mr. Huber. We appreciate that. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
No.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Riddell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance as amended?
Simpson?
Yes.
Riddell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
No.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Ordinance 31-12 passes 6 yeas, 1 nay as amended.
Resolution 32-12, a resolution accepting a donation of materials and labor for the restoration and fabric stabilization of Spring Grove Cemetery Mausoleum.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Simpson.
Again, being the council representative for the cemetery, Spring Grove Cemetery Committee, again, I would like to thank the Friends of the Cemetery, which is an organization that has supported the Spring Grove Cemetery immensely. They work off an endowment. There is a number of residents that are on the Friends of the Cemetery. There's also a donation that each member makes that has saved the city countless dollars in some of the projects that they've paid for. And again, this is going to be quite an expensive project, so thanks to them. That's all.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the resolution?
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Resolution 32-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 33-12, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of one 2012 stump grinder from Rayco to be used by the Forestry Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Swanson?
Thank you. This purchase will assist with our forestry department in removing stumps in a timely manner so that then we could turn around and plant trees. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, this is in the budget through the use of carry forward funds, I believe, so it's been appropriated for, and there's no additional new monies going to be used to purchase the stump grinder. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Ordinance 33-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 34-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the Lake Road reconstruction Phase 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Patton?
Thank you. This project will reconstruct Lake Road from Lafayette Road south to the city limits. The reconstruction includes total pavement removal and replacement, as well as water lines and storm sewers, some other miscellaneous improvements. This is the second project being funded from last year's bond issue. The first one, in the Commerce Drive extension, is under construction right now.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Ordinance 34-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 35-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the replacement of the Park View Drive culvert.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Patton?
Thank you. The Parkview Drive culvert is a corrugated metal pipe that extends approximately from State Route 57 east down Parkview Drive. It does actually travel underneath one house and comes very close to several others. It is corroding and deteriorating and needs to be replaced.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Ordinance 35-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 36-12, an ordinance authorizing the final resolution and the execution of all documentation between the Ohio Department of Transportation and the City of Medina for the 2012 Urban Paving Program resurfacing and pavement repairs of State Route 3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
the emergency clause has been requested, and I move to add it at this time.
Add the emergency clause to my second.
Any discussion? Mr. Patton?
Thank you. Earlier, in a previous meeting, Council approved a preliminary legislation between ODOT and the city for this very project. This is the final resolution, which consists of a contract or agreement between the city and ODOT. We're paying for 20% of the cost of the project within city limits. That amounts to a little over $10,000. We're asking for the emergency clause. ODOT got us this agreement just a couple days after our last council meeting with the instructions that they needed the agreement signed and the check delivered by tomorrow.
Well, thank you. They don't give us a lot of time, but
What's the hurry?
I guess we have to do what we have to do. Is there any further discussion on the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Ordinance 36-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 37-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept 5 utility easements for the Parkview Drive Culvert Replacement Project, job number 864.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Patton.
Thank you. This references the ordinance that was just passed moments ago for Parkview Drive. The existing culvert that's been in place for 40 or 50 years, there are no easements over it. It's all on private property. The new culvert, we're required to gain easements, which we've gotten from each of the property owners.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Ordinance 37-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 38-12, an ordinance amending ordinance number 13908, passed July 14, 2008, relative to the park and sports field regulations for the city of Medina.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is cleaning up some language in the parks and sports field regulations to permit the parks director to use the fields within the guidelines that council approved. On page 2, there's one amendment, if I may. Page 2 of the agreement, the very last paragraph, currently reads, any non-association desiring to rent. We'd like that to be any non-Medina association. Any non-Medina association wanting to rent. I talked with Assistant Law Director Matt Lanier, who prepared the document. His assumption was that it was non-Medina, but I think we would be better served to have it stated in there. What this is doing is permitting the city then to rent the fields out to non-Medina associations to help generate some revenue that we didn't currently have under the existing rules and regulations.
Thank you. That change was on page 2, did you mention? That?
I'm sorry. It was on page 2, the last paragraph. It currently, in your copy, it said any non-association desiring to rent. We'd like that to be any non-Medina association. In other words, the Medina associations that are here and paying rent for or paying taxes for the fields should not be charged this extra fee, but people coming from Brunswick, Lakewood, Strongsville, we want to be able to charge that fee too.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Shields?
I move to amend my motion so that instead of non-association, it reads non-Medina associations.
Let's second that amendment.
Any discussion regarding the amendment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Ordinance 38-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 39-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city of Medina and Medina Township pertaining to the utilization of Medina Township ball fields.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. This agreement was crafted after a meeting with myself, Parks Director Tim Swanson, Council Representative Jim Shields, and Mike Todd, the President of the Medina Township Board of Trustees. The issue that we were trying to get over was that Medina Youth Baseball and the baseball associations in Medina were not being permitted to use the township fields that were constructed there without charging a fee. what was negotiated was that they had to make available at least 10% of their time slots up to a total of 25% of their time slots. And in exchange for that, the $5 participant fee that the Medina Youth Baseball Association charges would then be divided into the percentage of games played up on Medina Township. So if 10% of the overall games were played up there, they would get 10% of the fees to help offset the upkeep of their fields.
Thank you. Though I appreciate your efforts and Mr. Swanson and Mr. Seal's efforts, I will not be able to support this ordinance. I'm of the opinion that if they have unlimited use of our fields within our cities, I think we should have unlimited use of their fields. We had an SAP fee in place for many years in order to encourage the townships to construct fields for the purpose of unlimited use, to have equal ability to have more fields for our participants, our rec participants. And since they're limiting that ability to use those fields to a specific number of games, that is the reason why I will not be able to support this ordinance. But thank you for all your efforts. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
No.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
No.
Ordinance 39-12 passes 5 yeas, 2 nays.
Ordinance 40-12, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of one 2012 Ford Explorer Sport utility vehicle from statewide Ford for the police department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
the emergency clause is requested, and I move to add it at this time.
Second with emergency clause.
Discussion? Mayor?
Yes, sir. On behalf of the police chief who's ill this evening, this is a request to buy a 2012 Ford Explorer for the supervisor of the police department. The problem now is the current vehicles do not have adequate storage space for the various equipment that they need to have with them. This is going to be a front-wheel drive rather than all-wheel drive. We've done some reviews, and there's no expectation that for the bad winters or for the bad weather that we may get, we do have available and have used for years some of the 4x4 trucks that we have available in the city at the cemetery, at the parks, and at the city here. So we've decided to go with front-wheel drive and try this out and see how this vehicle works. The emergency clause is because the state bids begin to build out early in March, and the availability of the vehicle is uncertain without the emergency clause.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Colasar?
No.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
No.
Coin?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Ordinance 40-12 passes 7-0.
Thank you. The following ordinances have been requested to be added to the agenda. That's ordinance 41-12, ordinance 42-12, and ordinance 43-12.
I move to add the three ordinances to the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion on adding the ordinances to the agenda? Will the clerk please call the roll on adding the ordinances to the agenda?
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance 41-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with MRR Properties LLC, an Ohio Limit Liability Company, for the purchase of the property located at 406 South Broadway.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
the emergency clause has been requested, and I move to add it at this time.
Second with emergency clause.
Further discussion? The mayor, Mr. Huber, do you want to comment on this? The acquisition of the... Mr. Huber. Thanks for volunteering.
This is a purchase agreement for the purchase of a property located at 406 South Broadway. This property will be added as a part of the trailhead for the bike trail, I believe it is, and is currently owned by Mr. Rose's LLC. The contract will need to have some amendments to it, so I'm asking that this be authorized subject to the law director's approval. The emergency clause is requested as a result of the fact that the grant monies that will be utilized so that we can put this trail in the way we want to have to be allocated here shortly, and we need to get the contractor who's handling this project up to speed on the changes that we're going to make as a result of the purchase of this property. He's got to incorporate that in his plan.
Thank you. And I know this project has been ongoing, the Smith Road Corridor, Champion Creek Corridor project. We've been under discussion for, I think, over a year now, and this is one piece to a larger puzzle that we're trying to put together to rehabilitate the southern portion of the city of Medina, just south of the square, to try to revitalize the area, connect the trail from Guilford to Broadway, and hopefully connect it further from that. This property will be used, as mentioned, as a trailhead, a parking facility for people to be able to utilize that trail if they want to walk to the east towards Guilford and beyond to Roscoe Ewing to continue on the park path that's going through that area also. So we appreciate all the effort that went into this. I think, speaking for myself, I think it's an important integral piece to move this project forward. And I know we have a lot of other work to do with respect to the Smith Road Corridor, but I appreciate the efforts of the administration in bringing this to fruition. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I just want to clarify one point.
Yes.
Mr. Huber mentioned Mr. Rose. That's not me. It's Mike Rose. I don't want anything tied with me on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
You're
Any
welcome.
further discussion?
Mr. Paul Rose. Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Shields.
Per the law director, I would like to amend my motion to include that the purchase agreement is subject to final approval of the law director.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that amendment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Verdell Ware,
Yes.
Coin,
Yes.
Colasar,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Shields,
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the emergency clause?
Shields,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Verdell Ware,
Yes.
Coin,
Yes.
Colasar,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the ordinance?
Mr. President?
Mr. Lamb?
I think I made clear in the Finance Committee meeting that I have I appreciate the work in particular Mark's done and the council's done in putting this plan together, and I support the trail, I support the project. But I am hesitant about this purchase because I am concerned that this could be the stopping point, and my sense is that it's critical to the development of the south end of the square, critical to the economy, critical to the appearance, that this trail be extended another 2 blocks. And having worked on this project on and off and supported it since about 1984, I would not want to see the project end at South Broadway. I'm not convinced that we need a trailhead at South Broadway when we already have what could be considered a trailhead on Guilford Boulevard. However, having said that, I will acquiesce to the majority on council because I do overall support the project, but I am convinced that one of the most critical elements of this project is its continuation into the next 2 blocks of the city to clean up, improve, and make economically viable that area that at this time and for many years past has not been. So I will conclude by saying I appreciate all the work you've done. I will support it. However, I do have reservations because I am concerned that it may not continue to where it needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance as amended?
Rose,
Yes.
Shields,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Verdell Ware,
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Ordinance 41-12 passes 7-0 as amended.
Ordinance 42-12, an ordinance amending ordinance number 17211, passed December 12, 2011. Amendments to the 2012 budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
In discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Shields?
also from the Finance Committee, this ordinance 4212 needs to be amended to include an appropriation for the purchase of 406 South Broadway in an amount of $105,000.
Yes. Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? Mr. Durham?
The account number for that is 301-0707-54411.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance as amended?
Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Excuse me. Ordinance 42-12 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 43-12, an ordinance amending ordinance number 22-12, passed February 13, 2012, relative to the design and construction of an addition to the city service garage located at 781 West Smith Road.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I requested that this be brought back before council. Inadvertently, with ordinance 2212, the assumption of the administration was that the change in the amount of the ordinance would take effect immediately, like an appropriation adjustment does, because it was a new ordinance, different than the original construction agreement. That did not take place. Simmons Brothers Construction has had change orders from early on in the project, which started last September, October, and have vendors that have not been paid and are dependent upon this this ordinance being passed in order to pass that money on to their vendors. So I'm respectfully requesting council pass it now with the emergency clause so that tomorrow we can write Mr. Simmons a check and get his vendors paid. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the ordinance is set up, which includes the emergency clause, so we don't have to add that as a separate item. By passing the ordinance, it does passes the emergency clause so that Mr. Simmons, as the mayor indicated, can be paid, since it's been a while since the project has been completed. So is there any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the ordinance?
Colasar.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Riddell Ware.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 43-12 passes 7-0.
Council comments? I have a couple real quick here. The meeting for Ward 2, we had our Ward 1 meeting as a council as a whole. We have a meeting for Ward 2 as a council of a whole on March 5th, 2012 at the Recreation Center. This is going to be at 7 p.m. in Room A. So if anybody in Ward 2 would like to attend to address council as a whole, any issues they have with respect to Ward 2, again, the meeting will be March 5th, 2012. It'll be on our website. You can look on that, and we'll try to advertise it on the local cable access, and we'll have signs posted to remind the residents of when the meeting will occur. We also have in March a meeting on March 20th, 2012 here at City Hall at 5:30 with the Medina County Commissioners. This is one of our goals. We wanted to try to meet with the various other political subdivisions in the county that have a direct impact on the city to discuss varying issues related to both the county and the city and things that we can do to help improve the relationship between both of our organizations. And finally, again, Ward 1 council applications are due March 15th, 2012. We're going to miss Ms. Burdell Ware. However, we need to move on, so we're going to have the Ward 1 council applications due by March 5th, 2012, and then we'll go through the interviewing process. March 15th, I'm sorry if I misspoke. Interview process, and then make a selection for the replacement appointment for the Ward 1 representative. And with that, I would like to ask Andrea to step out front. We have a little memento for her departure. This is her last meeting. We want to wish her well, so if she'd step out front. Thank you.
It's a big bag.
I don't mean open. We, on behalf of the City Council, we'd like to thank you for your dedication to the City of Medina and your years of public service representing Ward 1. We believe you've done a great job, and to remember us by, we're giving you just a memento picture of the City of Medina and the different historic buildings, and it reads, Andrea Burdell Ware, Medina City Council, Ward 1, councilperson from 1/1/2010 to 2/29/2012. We appreciate all your help and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. I truly enjoyed my time on council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other additional council comments?
Mr. President, I just have one. First of all, I'd also like to thank Andrea for her time in public service and how important public service is to the community. You know, whether you're here for 2 years or 5 years or 8 years. And you know, I was talking to Bruce before the meeting, and you know, Brad Root, of course, is probably the poster family of public service in a different way in the community. And former Councilman Wetzel's here, and we had a speech by the candidate for sheriff, and how important it is that people serve in these positions and take time, whether it's for a short period of time or a long period of time, because the contribution is absolutely critical to the success of the city and our ability to function. And I appreciate the time that you spent here. And particularly in politics. I think in politics, somebody said to me the other day, and you know, they said something I'd commented on was politically. They said, "Well, that's politically something good, but you know, that's it." Well, politics is not a bad thing. Politics is a good thing, and we need good people that are willing to participate in politics. And finally, I just want to comment to the administration about the tragedy today that took place in the school. And I was in a public place where nobody was paying attention to me, but I heard comments from people in that public place, both about the tragedy, but also about complimentary of the City of Medina and the police department and the police chief in particular. And it is interesting when people don't know you're there and you hear them, to hear those kind of extraordinary, positive compliments about things that are taking place here. And how meaningful that is, and to just compliment the police, our police department, particularly the police chief, who's put some of these things in place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any further discussion,
President?
Mr. Shields?
I do want to thank Andrea also. It's been a pleasure serving with her. Andrea, I really appreciate you were always willing to ask the tough questions and did a really great job on council, and I will miss that. I also miss that it's one less attorney on council, and I know we're getting lesser on our numbers here, but thank you for the time you served for Medina.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Colsar.
I again want to thank Andrea for her time and commitment to the city of Medina. You never know when you get new council members if you're going to be able to work with them, what they stand for, and things of that nature. But you've been absolute professional in your duties to Ward 1, and it's been a pleasure working for you. Or with you. Thank you.
No, I think you had that correct. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Colsar. Any further comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Simpson?
I'm going to miss you.
Oh,
couldn't be said better.
Okay, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Rose.
As a member of the class of 2010, I'm going to miss you. We came in here together. I was really hoping we could serve as many years as the cities would allow us to. I've learned from you. One less lawyer can't always be that bad, but but you will be missed. You'll be one of the lawyers that I'll miss. Thank you.
I'm not sure what that means. Thank you. Any other additional council comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Shields.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing imminent litigation and land negotiations.
Second.
Any discussion on recess into executive session? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Colasar?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Shields?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Burdell Ware?
Yes.
Coin?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
We will not be returning to conduct any more business, therefore the meeting is adjourned.